So what do you do when you live in rural Alaska and you need to rely on your vehicle to get to work every day? Well, you have two vehicles. What do you do when they both break at the same time? Let's find out. Ahoy there! It's Sunday morning up here in Menasha, and today you're going to see something a little different. The sun's just working its way up. The moon just worked its way down over there. Hey, before we get too far into this, I thought you guys might ask, what's that thing on your head? Check this baby out. Huh? It's got a motion sensor on the side, and I can just turn it off and on. Pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, both vehicles broke within the span of a couple days. The headlights started acting up on the dually, and the sunroof stuck open in the 4Runner. That's not the previous owner's fault. That's my fault. He told me the sunroof had a problem, but fireworks were going. We opened the sunroof. Great. I am not a sunroof expert or a wiring expert. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Okay, here in Alaska, you got this extra auxiliary light right here. We call that a moose light. Yeah, Kodiak doesn't have moose. The previous owner wired it in so that when you turned on the high beams, that thing would come on. Well, now the truck has a mind of its own. The high beams have been coming on by themselves and turning that thing on. It's only a matter before I blind out people. And then over here, my primary commuter, kind of in a sad state of affairs. When the sunroof's open, you got this big gaping hole before it stops raining. Anyway, let's get this uncovered and see what we can do. It's kind of a neat swirl pattern on the frost here. Nature never stops being artsy. Time to get to work. So I guess technically it's been sitting here for 2 weeks. Yeah, because I think today's maybe the 15th. Oh boy, it's really frozen. Okay, so things are pretty frozen in here. I wonder if I can turn these lights on. There, can you see me now? I think I'm just gonna have to start it and run it for a while and, you know, get rid of this ice. All right, let's cook this baby out. Well, of course, being a Toyota, even though it's got 201,108 miles, started right up. Gonna blast the heat onto high. Here's what it looks like in here. But it worked. Things are pretty clean. But like I said, gonna warm it up so that we can get the rest of the tarp off because everything's frozen. So while the 4Runner's warming up, gonna head up to the net loft here and grab myself a 10mm socket so I can try working on the dually at the same time. So at the end of the day, I just need one vehicle to get to work. Okay, here's one part of Alaska life this way you don't have to do a whole lot of CrossFit. Although I'm, you know, still an out of shape old man. But it's never convenient to get to your stuff. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on with the truck. Why is it on the American truck, it's always frozen shut, but the Japanese one never freezes shut? It's gotta be a coincidence. Okay, so it's doing it right now. See how the driver's side headlight's not lighting up, this thing's lighting up, and the high beam on the passenger side is lighting up. Now let's see what happens when I go to low beam. Yeah, see the moose light's still on. And again, nothing's working on the driver's side. I think it's a loose wire, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all this apart, start jiggling stuff, see if I can get something to work. And look at that. Now the moose light turned off and the low beam's on, just like that. So I really do think there's something loose in here. I just gotta figure out what it is. Well, let's take it apart and find out. Now I've had these headlights off before, and so what I'm going to do here, if I remember right, it's a 10mm here and here, and another one in the wheel well that I got to pull a plug out and get to. Sometimes people ask if I miss being a mechanic for a living. The answer is absolutely not. I don't mind doing it as whatever you call this. You know, I'm on a gravel driveway. The last thing I want to do is drop the nut that holds it behind here on the ground, because I'll probably never find it. Now you might be asking yourself, why is that knucklehead out there with no gloves on? I've actually got a brand new pair of gloves, but I'm going to be doing interior work in the 4Runner, and I don't want to get them messed up. So I'm just going to flirt with frostbite out here. I love it. There's the plug. Ugh. Got the truck undercoated. It's really in here. Yeah. Here's what the plug looks like, and this is why I'm not wearing my fancy interior gloves. So as it turns out, the one in the wheel well is bigger than 10mm, but these ones out here still are. These already have anti-seize from when I've done it before. That's why they're coming off so easily. Up here it's bolts, back there it's a nut. Not 12. Let's see if we've got an SAE that'll fit on it. A 1/2 inch will work nicely on a 13mm. Dang it. Nope. It is chilly out here. So anyway, I had a 13mm in the 4Runner there, so let's see if this works. Yahtzee. Now I just got to get it off and not drop it. Boom. Got it. I was right, 13mm. So now to get the rest of the way off, I just pull. And of course, the fact that it's however cold it is out here, yeah, it might break. Price of doing business. When in Kodiak, right? I'm going to use my last year's boat pass, which is kind of made out of heavy plastic, and this universal screwdriver. Get it off this way. I'm going to put the plastic in between so they don't damage the finish too bad. I hope you guys were able to see that. Totally worked. Didn't hurt last year's boat pass either. You know, with all these rock chips, it really doesn't matter. So it pulled straight out, and now I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to try to figure out what's going on. Like, where's that loose wire? There we go. So mechanic tip, when you're working on something like this, I always put the window down. Now let's see if I can figure out what's going on. All right, so now I'm gonna dig into here and see why this light comes and goes. Now some people might say, Larry, shouldn't you be running the truck because it's so cold out? Yes, I should be. But, you know, you guys wouldn't hear a word I said if I had this thing running. Okay, and sure enough, just like I was afraid of, previous owner, well, previous somebody. See this right here? The wire going back. And sure enough, see this white wire right here? That does not look like it belongs there. So I'm guessing that's what they use to excite the other bulb. Not sure what's going on with this one. The black one's probably the ground and the white one's power. So I'm going to dig into here and see if I can find a loose connection. I think I'm just going to go ahead and unplug these so that I can set the lens somewhere else. Dig into the wires a little more. Oh, and by the way, in case you were wondering, I figured out after about 10 minutes, even though the headlights are on, turns out this thing's trying to be hill jack proof. Turns the lights off automatically, but I'm going to go ahead and unplug everything so that I don't have to worry about banging this thing up. I'd rather unplug it than take the bulb out. Yeah, see, that's a halogen bulb. I don't really want to mess with that too much. If you touch it, your human oils can screw it up. Let's try to work this plug a little more. There we go. This one's not a halogen, so I'm not as worried about it. Let's just go ahead and set this aside. All right, really all I'm doing here is just going to take off this crusty old electrical tape, see if I can find out what's going on. I tell you, working on vehicles that somebody else worked on, that's always such a hassle. Oh, look at that. We have a piece of junk connector in here, but that's the source of the problem too. So I don't know if you guys can see that. We got a interior butt splicer on the outside. That's definitely not a good thing. Nothing's changing, so time to get more tools. Here's a little tech tip for you. When you're going to be doing electrical work with your really, really cheap multimeter, well, how do you make sure it works? First off, obviously make sure your contacts are plugged into the common and the power respectively. What I like to do is switch it to ohms, which measures resistance in the wire, or you can actually go down here where it's supposed to make noise. Then you just touch these together. Hear that? That means the wires are actually connecting. And if you read it, so when it drops down to almost zero, that means there's not a whole lot of resistance in there, so I don't have a big corrosion problem. The other tech tip I'm going to show you is usually these come with 2 points like this. Can you see that? And that's for going through the wires. What I've done is I put an alligator clip on the negative side, which is the black side, because I've only got 2 hands. And if you have to hold this multimeter and be probing with your positive lead, well, there's no third hand to hold your ground. I have the ground on an alligator clip, and then I just find a good ground somewhere on the truck, and that way I can go through and do my diagnostic test. When you're looking for grounds, and everything's painted like it is here. See, there's one spot here where the bolt went through where it's bare metal. Now, I can't get the alligator clip to it from the outside, but what I can do is I can put the alligator clip in like this, and as long as I'm careful and don't push it all the way through, still spring-loaded, and should get me a good connection. Okay, now you might ask yourself, so how do I know if my ground's working? I'll take my meter and my positive lead, and I'll plug it into what I think is the hot power for the bulb, anywhere around, oh, look at that, but at least it's a good enough connection that I can tell what's hot. And there should be no power in this thing. Ah, but there is. I'm going to try something kind of radical. I'm going to go ahead and cut this cheesy connector thing off. I tell you, I really hate these things. When you don't have a proper stripper, you use the wire cutters. You score the insulation, grab a hold of it, give it a tug, and you should just be able to strip it right off of there. Now let's see if this thing's hot, which it shouldn't be on either, if this is the exciter for the moose light. Nope, nothing there. Nothing there either. Okay, no power anywhere. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn on the high beams and see what happens. All right, I think I've successfully disconnected the moose light. Yeah, it'd sure be nice to have it. It's better to be legal and have 2 working headlights. So I just have to get some electrical tape, put this back together, and see what kind of shape we're in. Okay, now let's go ahead and put it all back together. Okay, so this is low beam headlights. Shouldn't be anything here. Nothing here. That's got my 11.75 volts, so I'm in good shape there. Moose light's off, like it should be. No power to any of the moose light business. And I've got 11.7 volts to the low beam. By disconnecting whatever wiring was in, kind of this hillbilly wiring, we might have actually successfully removed the source of the problem. Let's see if it works. This is not a small headlight assembly. Like I said, I don't want to put it together for good. Still have to tape off those wires. Here we go. I think we're on low beam right now. No moose light. Both headlights working. All right. Okay, we're in business. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some electrical tape, put this thing together properly. Hopefully you guys find this helpful. I don't know if you do or not. Got another project coming up on the truck in a little bit when it's nicer out. I don't know if you can see this. See how the mirror's covered in black duct tape? Last time we were in Los Angeles with the truck, we got hit twice. Once in the parking lot at the hotel there, when I brought Jen and Captain Morgan out for tacos, because we're on the mainland, we could have tacos. Wouldn't you know it, a kind of a hippie type lady in a Subaru with roof racks parked next to me and wham, ran right into it again. So it's been hit twice. We have a replacement. While I'm in there, I'm going to replace the speaker, but that'll be another video on another day. Well, the Jeep's been running for a couple hours, trying to get Captain Morgan to help me get all this cover off. Take this corner, and I'll take this corner, kind of up.
Which side?
Here. I think we're gonna have to go that way.
I can't even
Close to that. Here, let's lift it up. Stand on the running board. There you go. Slide it forward, get it up over this. Okay, so that's set up. Tell you what, it is cold. Truck's fixed. Now we're gonna see if we can get the sunroof taken care of. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but we're gonna give it a shot. Okay, in case I didn't mention, we are way outside my skill set and comfort zone. But let's face it, that's how life works, right? You gotta get outside your comfort zone. It's my understanding that in order to do this, there's a screw in here somewhere that I have to take out. Huh, they're both missing. Go figure. Then I believe you pull down the front and then slide it that way. It's actually pretty warm in here. Probably leave it that way to keep the plastic so it doesn't throw a fit. See if this will come down from 2 plastic clips up in the ceiling. Didn't sound like anything broke. Slide forward. All right. Well, that worked. I'm not a fan of having things hanging by wires. I'm gonna need these controls later. So for now, I'm gonna unplug it. Okay, so one of the plastic clips did come off. So I'm just gonna kind of reform it, put it back on. Always have a Gerber in your car. Or a Leatherman, whatever. Doesn't matter the brand, just gotta have one. Just gotta bend it so it matches the one that is still on there. Looks like we're in good shape there. Now, to get this removed, there are 2 bolts, one here and one here. Okay, so my guess is these are also 10mm. Let's see if I'm right. Yep. I'd like to unplug this first. I'm not real familiar with these Toyota wiring plugs. Right now I'm gonna focus on just not losing these bolts inside the headliner. Boy, look at that, they're coming out in great shape. It's unfortunate I don't see a manual override capability on here. Let's see if it comes straight down and out. Yep. And it looks just like the Lexus replacement that I've got. Assuming this is another standard plug where I could just push here and it should come right out. Just like that. All right. Now here's the part I don't know. I don't really know how these work. I'd like to say I do, but I don't. So I'm just gonna try putting the other one in, put it back together and see if it works. Okay, so here's the replacement. I bought the replacement used. Now I'm gonna check to make sure they're the same. They've got numbers on them and they match on both. I assume they're kind of the same. How much you want to bet the one I'm taking out's just fine? Live and learn, right? I'm gonna throw a little bit of white lithium grease on this one. Try not to mess up the car in the process. Okay, she's all greased up. Now I'm just gonna put it all back together and see what happens. And I have no idea if this is gonna work, by the way. Note to self, apparently this can idle just about forever. It doesn't seem to overheat. Will this go up nicely and back into place like it should? Probably not. I'm trying not to force it in there because I don't know if that gear's gonna line up or not. And I'm being pretty gentle, not using power tools here. Okay, now I'll snug it up. Looks like with the vehicle this came out of, sticky stuff came off. Okay, it feels like it's in there like it's supposed to be. Here's the big question. Is this gonna work? I have no idea, but let's give it a shot. Because I don't know exactly what's going on yet, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in and try to actuate it from the switch here. Am I nervous? Yeah. Okay, it's plugged in. Because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, please close. Please, please, please. That way's open, so I think that way's closed. Let's see what happens. Holy crap, did you see that? Did you hear that? I think it's fixed. Go to hell. Here, I'll show you what the outside looks like. Look at that. Now it does have a re-index procedure where you're supposed to hold it for 3 seconds, I think, after it opens. I guess I'll do that next to make sure that it works, but... Huh. Victory! All right, I just ran it through all its paces and it worked. So that's 2 Kodiak repairs and 2 Kodiak successes. Thanks a lot for coming along. Remember, be kind and we'll see you next week. Here in Minnesota, I'm not in Minnesota anymore. Stop recording. 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 Okay, keep recording.